Okay, thank you. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and let's start about a MySQL Cookbook and receipts for your business. This is a slide about who am I. I'm MySQL support engineer for many years. I'm author of book Smile Troubleshooting, and now I am with my co-author. Alkin, please stand up. We worked last year, we did hard work last year on the 4th edition of MySQL Cookbook, and this talk is about shows some insights about what is in that book. I also have some coding, hobby coding projects, and I also often speak at various conferences. Why I'm pay attention about why I'm speaker. My customers and my people I go to the conference for are usually DBAs, so database administrators, people who do not write queries, but people who make server of MySQL servers work fast, good, stable. For people who do, they tune server options, they tune indexes, they tune table structure, and this is what I'm talking about and what is I suggest in my customer for. And but MySQL Cookbook, this first free edition were written by a different person, Paul Dubois, and they are written for developers, so people who write the queries, who write application, who use MySQL. And for me, that was new topic, challenges. I'm MySQL support since 2006, and I really didn't wrote any web application since then. But in past, I worked as a developer, so that was still something that touches me. So I accepted the offer and invited Alkin to co-author with me. Let's see what is how my work life of as a developer was 15 years ago. So I could write queries, just select a name, last name from something, and get it. I could use placeholders with question marks, and that's again, could be my queries could be saved from SQL injection attack. I could use ORM, speaker's name, last name, and I just click save. And actually, did anything change? Well, in the first glance, nothing, because you can write your application the same way too now. But there are also came new MySQL APIs. MySQL now supports document storage. You are not required to write only SQL. You can use object-oriented language from MySQL itself. You should not should not write any shells. You should not install any third-party libraries to do it. And also you can use XDev API that allows all this and also allows parallel execution. So our topics for today's talk is here. So I was first to introduce you my favorite instrument called MySQL command line. You see it supports UTF, so you can have this fancy command prompt. And you can just type your queries here and get results. MySQL CLI, it's why it's like your MySQL actually debugger. It's I know many people coding in Workbench and some graphical user tool, but this is what the tool that's tested by millions of users, and MySQL developers use it, and they test it during every release. So that's kind of if you have any issue with your query, you need just to go to MySQL CLI, type here, and to find how it executes and watch its result. And this is a call model API for your query. Another cool tool that's came into our world is MySQL Shell. MySQL Shell supports SQL mode that's exactly same as with MySQL CLI, but also supports JavaScript and Python. And this, with these languages, you can just write in JavaScript and Python. You can use your own libraries. You can install any libraries, and you can do it inside the command line. So it's really nice. If you are writing a program in these languages, you can just like connect to MySQL Shell and test it interactively, and then use it in your code. It supports XDEF API. That means it supports parallel execution, and it supports all that's SQL object-oriented queries. And it has like administration like utilities. That's built in. And you can write your own application for doing whichever I want. Like, for example, in the book, I put a example of Python code that creates test set of data, quite smart. So like we have like random data generators, but sometimes you need smart data, and that's you can easily do with MySQL Shell. XDEF API, so why I pay attention for it? It's asynchronous code, supports asynchronous, really asynchronous code execution. It's not like old library, like if you work with MySQL for a long time, like called libmysql _r, but it's real asynchronous execution. And also it supports querying MySQL in 3 different ways: by executing SQL, by querying tables as documents, and by working with collections. And now here are examples. This is standard SQL, so you're just doing it in SQL mode, and that's you're all good known MySQL. You can use XDEF API for tables. So what you are doing here, this session, it's built-in object. It's get current schema, so you get the current schema, like you are doing use database. You are getting table name, and you can just like write select that group by that thing. So like it object-oriented style, if you prefer to do it like in your application. And you can change your comments, and you can script it and loop it, so whichever. Document store, here is example for Python. Here it's again, I'm getting current schema and getting file. Now I go collection and use option find. And now I want to find all objects in my table that has number of arms and legs and limbs greater than 5. It's why I'm converting null to 0. And this is how it works with objects. And you can also combine object and you can query object as tables. So like if you have like you are storing collection, so you are storing collection and like data in JSON, and you want to see its table side, you can do it with options. So get collection as table, and you can use that select sum. It's because this stored internally for collections are stored internally in JSON. You have to use that's fancy function names to create a where condition, but sometimes it could be useful. You can join results, you can do whatever with these results. Working with results, so what's new? This is a SQL code in Python. It's always worked like this. So you are just connecting, you are executing, you are fetching data, and you are doing some here. For XDEF API, it's actually that's the same. So you are having a result, and you are fetching the data, and you are again printing it. So this is example work with XDEF API. For document store, it's the same. So executing, fetching, fetch one, and so nothing changes, but you get all that possibility to work in the best way, the best suits you. For table, das document store, it's that's fetching data is the same as for regular SQL. Changing data, this is example of standard SQL. For the XDEF API for tables, so what you are doing, you are hitting schema, you are getting tables, you are executing update, for example, like here, and you are setting like all the properties. Like you can set legs of 4 and arms of 0. And here is where condition where you can put like whichever where condition you want. It's again, you can change this calls as many times as you want. For document store, you can use option like I'm here, it's add or replace one. So I'm replacing, this is ID. And and here is that's what I'm replacing, like finger cats, legs, arm. So actually, I need to tell about few words about like how documents are stored in MySQL. So for this, MySQL creates a table, special table. We will see example later. It's called like you are creating like a collection. It creates for you ID. It's after generated ID with some number, with some after generated number. It creates a JSON field, so you can store your data, your document in JSON. And it also has optional field that could be null. It's JSON schema, so you can validate your JSON schema if you want, for example, your JSON documents to have some particular fields all the time, or maybe reject some values and whatever. For tables and documents store, it's again like to modification, it gets simple. So you get collection as a table, you call delete, you put where condition, and you can just call it in application style. Character encoding. So here is like important part, and maybe that's maybe it I don't know. Like actually, it disappoints me. So what is here? It's standard API. With standard API, when you connect to standard MySQL port, you are establishing connection, and you can specify character set. So that's perfectly works. If you do not like specifying character set, you can just click cursor .execute and run set names command. And perfectly works for like any local languages. But for XDev API, it supports only UTF-8 and before. That covers almost all the languages. But issue here, like I found that some connectors do not work with other characters than Latin 1. So that's crazy. So that's UTF, but they do not work. So here is the QR code that goes to bug report. It's where I cannot work with Cyrillic Russian characters in my collection. So be careful, study, and that's a limitation of XDev API. So like we discussed about like something that's for you are writing code. There are also improvement in MySQL 8, and there are also improvement in SQL, and that's in that's fourth edition. What we did in the book, we adjusted some examples that existed in the previous edition, but with a new SQL syntax. For example, here we have a table with drivers. Drivers has like it's Ben, Susie, and Henry. They travel. And they travel different amount of miles every day. And so question is, on which date was the longest trip for the driver? And you are seeing like free drivers, we have like different tests, but I would ask you to pay attention for Susie. So on August 2nd, she drove 502 miles. And how to get that was longest drive? It's before 8.0, what people do, they did this. And before 5.7, MySQL even allowed them to do it, but since 5.7, SQL mode is not forgiven. It just says that couldn't execute that query because travel date isn't grouped by. And why it's so? And why it's so? It shows this example. So now I am resetting this restriction. And I showed that longest trip by Susie happened in July, on July 29. But if we go back on the slide, we are seeing, so on July 29, Susie drove just 391 miles. So it's not her longest trip. So that's why that old decision doesn't work. So watch actually how it was, you could do it, do it in 5.7 or earlier version. You could create temporary table, create like with some name. You can select data from the driver log, and you can get proper times. This solution is great. It's actually like in my career. It's here question is like how to how to get something in single query. I don't think that's actually valid it's something you need to spend time for. So that's absolutely great, a good solution. But it has downsides. And downsides is because creating temporary table is DDL and has implicit commit. So like if it's in a transaction, you should create that table before any transaction, but data could change, and you have to handle this situation somehow. But in 8.0, you can use common table expression. Common table expression is called like advanced feature. And if you like, first time when I saw it, I like complicated document. But then I found that it's actually very easy. What you are doing here, you are just creating temporary table here. You just put some expression to create temporary table, call it with some name like t, and that's it. So with t as, you are putting like expression what you would do for creating temporary table. And now you can join this table t with your original table, and that would work. So like for me, it's like one of my favorite 8.0 optimizer features. That's common table expressions. And like I don't know, like I school like I'm started enjoying writing SQL again. Another what is new, it's not like brand like 8.0 new, it's earlier version, but it's still not like underused. It returns me back to 2006, maybe 2006 or 2007, when I first was on MySQL conference, and everyone was discussing about how to handle, how to log error logs taken from storage routines. And here is like example. That's I just added some foreign keys to have more kind of different errors. So that's then I created a table that would log my errors for my application. So I put here time when it happened, its number, SQL state, message, and ID of important ID of my tables I want to have error. And now in procedure, I can just create continue handler for SQL exception that takes all the diagnostic information. It's available in diagnostic area. Takes all the diagnostic information. It puts into my log table. And after that, I could either handle this error, or maybe I should just resignal it, because depending on my logic, depending on error, you can have here not only SQL exception, you can put particular numbers, and depending from error number, you can resignal or you can continue execution, whichever. I decided to resignal here. So what I'm doing, I'm like, that's my original SQL inserts data. Then if an error happens, I get the error number from that special property of diagnostic condition called MySQL no, SQL state from returned SQL state, message from message text. And I am putting it my log tables with error log table, and I'm having all errors in this log table. And then after few errors, I see that's content, like first row that I cannot update, or a child row because foreign key construct fails. And also like colon movie ID cannot be null, some duplicate entries. So I have like all kind of errors, and I can like with this table, I can just go and find why like everything that doesn't work properly in my application. It's what is also changed. It's import and export. And industry standard in our days is free tools. It's called one is MySQL dump. It's utility that makes a logical dump that's just queries MySQL server with SQL and stores resulting in text file. That tool existed for ages. It's really good tested and still very popular. It has some disadvantages. Disadvantages, it's mostly it's like it has like some outdated comments like enable index, disable index that do not make any sense with InnoDB. It's only MySum supports it, and I do not know. Anybody uses MySum here? Okay, so you use it, but it still adds these statements that's could file. It's also single-threaded. Another option is MyDumper. MyDumper is a tool that creates logical dump in parallel, it creates as comma separated values or tab separated values, and that's really good for making logical dumps of a large amount of data. And it's also extra backup, or for Oracle Enterprise user, MySQL Enterprise users, MySQL Enterprise Backup. That's a tool that makes binary backups of the data. But now we have more options. So first is MySQL Pump. It's like I called MySQL dump on steroids. So why it's so? It's because it's by default it's multi-threaded. So it supports option default parallelism, and you can create how many threads you want to use to create resulting dump. Actually, its behavior is very, very similar to MySQL dump. So it has almost the same name of the options, and resulting is also SQL dump by default, and that's if you like, it could be done. It's also like comma separated, tab separated values. Legacy commands such as alter table disable case are removed. It also supports more filters. For example, like a very annoying thing that's MySQL dump, it adds definer for functions, and when you are moving to different server that already has some users, it's quite complicated to migrate your routines, and this pump has skip definer. It has filters for excluding and including particular tables. So like with MySQL dump, you can only include, and if you want to exclude, you need to like if you want to, like if you have a database of 100 tables and want to exclude one, you have to specify 99 tables you want to include. With pump, you can exclude just one table, so that's much easier to do. And what else we have? We have MySQL Shell utilities. That's they are great. They perform only import-export in either CSV or JSON, but they can support parallel execution by default. So actually, what's, for example, to export to comma separated value, it's again to type separated, and that's kind of that's built. You can just like use administration utility you call util export table, and here are limbs, and you can put path to the file and using dialect. So now in this case, I'm using comma separated value Linux. To import, you need to create table test limbs like limbs, and you can just util import table and provide path to the backup file, and you specify schema where you want to restore the table. You can also import from JSON. So you can just, like, if you have JSON file, you can just specify like import and option import, and specify JSON file and collection you want to import to. What is nice from JSON is you can specify import from MongoDB export. So if you have like a MongoDB database and you want to get data from there, import it to MySQL, you can just like need to have for option import option, you can specify option called convert based on types true, and that's would work. So just like you are taking your data from Mongo and you are putting data into MySQL. Export JSON. For export, there is no command that would export JSON. To export JSON, what you need to do, it's you need to fetch, like if you are wanting to, you need to write expression that fetches data. In my case, I'm fetching all the documents from collection limbs. Then I printing that result and storing in my JSON file. And here on the slide, you see that MySQL Shell also support option E, exactly like MySQL command line client. So you have options. You can do connect into it, and you can call commands interactively, or you can just execute them, like create like kind of one-liners. Metadata. that's important to have metadata about your results, about your columns, and about your data. So what we are seeing here, so this is one of the way to get metadata for columns. It's to query information schema tables. And here in this example, we are getting metadata for enum or set values. It's Python code. And with this code, we can just like check if you have like some value, and we can have pre-check in our applications, like if you are, it's allowed to be stored in this enum or set field or not. So that's you can work with metadata with application. You can get also, like, for example, all tables referenced by foreign key. It's my favorite example and my favorite query, because sometimes like tools fail due to foreign key constraint, and sometimes like some locking issues happens, and it's better to find, like, in case if it's child table, it just shows like it's foreign key reference, it's something. But if it's parent table, it doesn't have information by itself, so you need to query information schema. You can get this information from information schema about which table referenced this particular table as a parent. For result here is it's also important to know like metadata of results. So what is metadata of result? It's number of returned rows and their data types, and if it's we got error or some messages. And for standard API, this is pretty easy. Like, for example, we are having Python code. We are have a cursor. We are executing some statement, and this here metadata information will becomes available. And we are printing like number of rows. It's a cursor row count. If cursors with rows, we have number of columns. Otherwise, there is no result set. And we can have access cursor description, and we can print all the metadata of our result set. XDEF API, again, it disappoints me because it only has basic information. So like execution time, affected row count, affected edge count. So that's not all the information that's available in standard API. That's probably something for XDEF API developers to work for. Another, like, one of my favorite things in 8.0, it's check constraint. In this example, like check constraint, it allows us to validate data. Like in third edition, I believe we even left this example. Before 8.0, then you wanted to like check some condition. You need to use either application code or you need to use triggers that's would check value and reject its signal error. But the issue here that's like, well, it's hard to write, and also adds like additional complication for the code execution. In 8.0, you can use for simple comparisons. That's like, for example, that we have table patients or like of imaginary hospital. That's when stores about time then they spent at the hospital. Of course, data departed should be greater or equal of data arrived, because like if it's it could be equal, like if it's just was like 1 hour treatment, but it could not be smaller because you cannot depart earlier than you arrive. And so that's in this case we can just like have check constraint that's shows like date departed is greater than equal the data arrived, and so I'm trying to insert some row is of my test row, and that's constraint is violated, and that's insert is rejected. So that makes writing again application, modern application, it's much easier now. For collections, MySQL support JSON schema for collections. So like it's again, like I told you, like for collections, MySQL creates a special table. So well, the table with ID and with JSON field of type data type JSON. that stores data. If you want, sometimes like JSON is flexible, but sometimes like sometimes you want it still to have some rows. Like if you are storing like some user, its user should be some name. It should be required field. Or in this case, we have like table limbs as a collection. So the, limbs, and it should properties. It should have thing. So what is we are storing in that collection, because if there is no thing, there is no sense to have a row. What is the number of legs and what is the number of arms? And for this, you are seeing we have a default value, so we can have some default. And here is required, so that's required. And also it has many assigns. JSON is free, so it's besides it can has like any fancy stuff like a color, or I do not know, like maybe can run, can swim, can whichever. How to create it? So you're creating like collection libs. It's session create current schema, and you are just creating collection, putting name of collection, and put here validation. So level strict and schema, and you are putting that variable that contains JSON schema. So after that, you can insert, and you could work with as any other NoSQL collection. Another thing that's again makes life of DB easier, it's creating sequences. Assume you have a number of like a table which stores people, and you want like I don't know, you're making a game. And game, people should go like their turn, like who starts first, who finishes first. It should not be alphabetical order. It should not be any predictable order. You want to order by random number, but you need to create each time like a list of it. List should be sequential, so it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It should not be something random. So in this case, before it's like it was painful. People used variables in the query, and 8.0 you can just use window function. It's a little bit more complicated than CT to explain, but let me try. So actually what we are here, we are selecting from table name, first name and last name, and call it window win. And for over this window, we are using function called row number that's just puts the number. And we are, those is also required, it's ordered by something. So we need, it should not be rand, it should be whichever order you need. But in this case, since we are speaking about game and random order, so we are putting here it's ordered by rand. And you are seeing that's, it's each time when I would run this query, it would create a different list here, but we will find like who will be started first and who will be starting last. We can also have several sequences in one query. For example, here I see like ID that shows just like number of rows. I'm seeing this geometric progression. Is it right term, geometric progression, when you multiply by some number? And we also have random numbers. So like in this case, so we are selecting sequences. We are using again common table expression, and this is called recursive common table expression. So we are starting from some constant number. So like we are selecting the first one, we are selecting our geometric progression with 3, and random just some random number, and we are union this result with expression. So for ID we are using ID plus 1. For geometric progression we are multiplying it by 4. And for a random, we just use another random number. And here is important part. We need to stop, because otherwise recursion would not stop and would use all our memory, all our resources. So we need to stop. And there we are just like selecting from sequences, and we get 5 numbers with some different sequences. Another issue is like what question that we can get with new features. It's like to answer questions about like how many drivers on the road. For example, like for in this case we have that's nothing new, so we are just using group by, and we are seeing so on some travel date we have drivers who are on the road, but we think we missed at least 2 dates on July 28 and July 31. Another question is so to use these dates we can just like create some temporary table and insert these dates. In this question we also can ask when drivers have rest, and in this case we are selecting dates from driver log. That's days where drivers nobody never was on road, so it was these dates. And in one query, if you want to combine this, we can create a recursive dates table with recursive dates. So we are starting from our first date in our table onto the second, and we just join it with our driver log tables, and we getting the same rest dates for our drivers. One more thing that's it's again about advanced SQL is how to create ranking. It's important for statistics. Like for example, we have a table with scores, with people get like I don't know, like some placement on some competition or maybe some exam, and we have like if we are like selecting like by score, like from highest to lowest, we just like selecting 8 rows. But what is the problem here? We have 8 rows, but scores are repeating. Into sorry, and scores are repeating, and also what is here, we are using like a variable name. It's old way. We are using same variable in the query. And here is the issue that's setting the user variable in the query will be removed at future release. And why it would be removed, I will show you here. It's because when we are setting a variable to depends on its own, it's for this simple query there is probably nothing would happen. But for complicated query, optimizer can create different plan, and we get different results, not deterministic results. MySQL has a window function that allows to rank, create that list using window function by just using option row number. But issue here itself, it's again that here is repeating scores, and we are like having like it's not real rank because these guys are same and these guys are same. And to resolve this, there is called rank functions that puts like scores with same scores put same rank, so you can use it better ranking of scores. Another again for advanced SQL, it's a common table expression that's can use to easily remove duplicates. For duplicates, what just happens, like sometimes people create different accounts, maybe with different, maybe like in this imaginary, like our test table, we have last name and first name, and maybe they have like create duplicate IDs for the same user. And how to find them? You can find them. You can just create CT expression, common table expression, like create searching for our values, having a condition that count is greater than 1, and we are seeing all the duplicates in the table depending on our condition, and we can do whatever to want, which we can find maybe other fields on this table and see maybe we want to remove some users, maybe we want if a user uses like different email, like maybe we can check if it's really same user, why it's has same name and has same address and has our in our table. Maybe it's like leads or something like we can do whatever we can make smart decision. We are not like suggesting here like which smart decision could be here. This depends on your application, but that's what can be done. And so it's one more like a great thing is MySQL 8 is data type JSON. It's compact storage. It supports in-place update. It's on source and in-place updates. That means like if so actually what is like MySQL stores JSON in two formats, either in text or is in a specially optimized JSON format. Which is specially optimized JSON format is better. It has compact storage. It has one downside. It like sorts. It changes like if you it changes order of how you created members of your JSON document. But this is part of standard of JSON, so that's actually no downside. That's how JSON should work. Its good sides, it supports in-place updates. So on the source, if it even supports updates for replication. But on source and replica, you should have this option partial JSON. It supports operators that so you can either call function, or if you are lazy to type function, you can use this operator. It has many functions. Functions are available for both JSON data type and functions and operators available for both the JSON data type and text database that store JSON. But JSON data type just uses them much more effectively because for text they have to parse. So let's show examples. So like for example, name of the books of MySQL Cookbook, you can find by using function JSON extract, and you will see all the name of the authors. You can use that short operator. Issue here, all the authors are in quotes, and that's not really. I am not Sveta. I'm Sveta. So to make me a real Sveta, I need to use option JSON at quote, or easily I can just use option that's operator with two errors. So you can have that's really easy access to JSON properties. You can create complicated expressions, like for example, to find first and last books written by the author. You can see that's you can create like compact, like creating some bodies of author, and you can use expression to find which books is here. And what is nice, its books are stored in array, and you can use option last. So that you do not need to know how many items in the array. So like Paul Debye wrote a lot of many books, and we still find the first one and last one. And for Alkin, that's first book, and for me, it's the second book. So it all works the same way, whichever number of books. Indexes. JSON allows to create indexes. That's MySQL. So you need to use generated virtual columns, and you can just generate it always as expression, and you can create index on this column, and you can just you do not need to write this fancy expression to search for name of the author each time. And final things is what I want to show you. It's about like back to application code. It's about how to work transactions. So transaction for standard API, you just start connection called start transaction, and finally you are doing commit and rollback. And surprisingly, for XDiff API, it works exactly the same. So you just start like start transaction and commit for tables. This works same for document store. It's also you can start transaction, you are updating the tables, and you are just committing data. Okay, so thank you. For more information, please, slides will be available on Percona website, will be available on my slide share, and you can follow that QR codes and for more information.